We brought it to you as breaking news last week. Fire blazes through a residence hall on UNO South Campus. I'm Nikita Williams. We'll have an update for you coming up.
Also, Omaha Mayor Jean Stother sits down with Omaha News reporter Beth Ryan about the lessons in leadership she's learned. I'm Jasmine Thompson. Those stories and more coming up. The Omaha News starts right now.
This is the Omaha News, presented by the School of Communication at the University of Nebraska at Omaha, from the studios of UNO Television.
A single cigarette. That's all it took to destroy one dorm building on South Campus and leave almost 50 students without a place to call home. One Omaha student lost more than just physical property. Some things cannot be replaced.
I got a whole bunch of messages and missed calls saying my dorm's on fire.
February 26th, an aggressive fire broke out at the Scotts Village dorms of UNO. 48 to 50 students were affected by this. For those of you who are not familiar with the apartment-style dorms of UNO South Campus, they're in the Exarban area of West Omaha.
It was a lit cigarette butt, I guess, that was on the second floor balcony that someone dropped, and it started the balcony on fire on the second floor, and it spread up to the third floor from there and got into the attic, and that's when it really got going.
And of course the wind didn't help with that and got out of control from there. Eric is also a photographer, and most of his equipment and work is still up there.
I've got a lot of gear that's up there, sitting up there right now, and not only that, but hard drives full of photos that I've been working on. I had a huge time lapse. I was getting that ready for a film festival here in Omaha, and that's gone. So that's about, a year and a half of work just kind of wiped out by someone dropping a cigarette butt.
So what are these 48 plus students doing now with work to be done in classes?
I've already had my books replaced. The university had the bookstore open up. We just go out in there. They've got the managers in there helping us find books, and we just take them and leave.
Now the plan is just to construct things back to the way they used to be. As of now, no charges have been filed as to who caused the fire. One firefighter was injured while battling the blaze, but is now home recovering.
Smoking is not permitted in any building on campus, nor is it permitted within 10 feet of any building. All students who are affected by the fire have since been placed in other on-campus housing. Those who lived on Building G's first and second floor were allowed back in to try and salvage some of the belongings. And those same students are also feeling an outpouring of support from their community and their campus.
UNO's IT department is working to recover data from damaged laptops and hard drives. The UNO bookstore is allowing all students to check out books and textbooks and supplies for the remaining of the semester free of charge. And many from around the Omaha community, as well as from other Nebraska universities, dropped off clothing and basic necessities from the Maverick Food Pantry.
Now, firefighters learned about the fire on UNO's campus from calls that came into the Douglas County 911 Center. But the way those calls were handled could soon change. Douglas and Sarpy counties have been in talks for weeks about the possibility of combining 911 operations. Those in support of the consolidation say it could save taxpayer millions. However, some fear that it could also cost some their jobs. Any changes wouldn't be implemented for years, but a decision on whether or not to go about it could come later this year.
Grief is a feeling we've all felt, but are we making sure we're dealing with it and helping others through the process properly? Melissa Ring has more on an Omaha organization that is making sure you don't have to go through this heartbreaking process alone.
Grief. There are many types of this empty feeling people can experience when losing someone. Getting back to a working routine may be difficult. Kathy Fox of Teddy Bear Hollow gave a seminar to a few faculty and staff at UNO to talk about why it's important to grieve properly.
This was just an opportunity to provide some really basic information to anyone here at UNO that may know someone now or probably in the future that they want to support through their grief.
Visual aids were given to show what can happen to your emotions if you don't accept and deal with them right away. Kathy also stresses the importance of how to be there for someone through their time of grieving. If emotions are held in, it can be dangerous.
But clearly, I think it's something that affects a lot of people, and it can affect you at any time. And if you don't deal with it, it gets worse.
Faculty and staff members were able to share their personal experiences or experiences they've seen someone go through. Discussing differences between companioning and treating is a helpful way to go through the changes that have taken place in someone's life. Find someone who understands and will let you talk it out. Whether it be a family member, a friend, or a coworker, remember, you have a right to talk about your grief. Finding someone to talk to will help you in the healing process. For the Omaha News, I'm Melissa Ring.
For more information on Teddy Bear Hollow, you can visit their website on teddybearhollow.org. UNO students also have the option of meeting with a counselor inside the Hyper building on campus if they need to talk to someone. Goodwill Industries says it plans to open 2 new Sarpy County locations. One new store will open near 90th and Highway 370 in Papillion, and Gretna could also see a new store by 2016. Construction on the Papillion store began in November. An opening date has been set for May, and the store is set to create 30 new jobs.
Some Omaha locals are getting the opportunity of a lifetime to raise money for the reopening of the Benson Theater. The first theatrical version of Stephen King's The Shining will open in a few weeks, proving with a little bit of determination and a well-written script, the possibilities are endless.
It just makes you feel like you're on top of the world.
The words of an accomplished director. Omaha native and director of the play, Jason Levering, says when he got the call that Stephen King approved the script, it was beyond surreal for him.
Having him read our work, our interpretation of his work, and say, yes, this is good, that was huge. That was like a take my breath away moment.
Levering says being a Stephen King fan himself made the call all the more exciting. What started as a 5-minute conversation ended in a joy that could last a lifetime for the director.
The whole process has just been kind of a dream, you know. I keep thinking I need to pinch myself because I'm not sure that this is really happening.
But Levering and his team aren't just doing this to entertain, using some of the profits to restore the historic Benson Theater.
The theater project started out as a passion project with Amy Ryan, who's the executive director of the theater.
Ryan convinced Levering to join the project to restore the entertainment Benson once had, a change bringing excitement back to the Benson community.
Oh, I think it's fantastic to have a theater venue in the Benson area. It's something that's kind of not here now that would be really an asset.
Levering says maintaining artistic oversight over the theater has been something he's been wanting for a long time, and he's happy to have accomplished that goal.
My dream when I graduated from college was to eventually someday be the artistic director of a theater, and this is that dream.
The Shining will play at the Sokol Auditorium on the 21st and the 22nd of this month. You can purchase tickets at bensontheater.org or theshiningomaha.com.
Coming up on the Omaha News, we'll talk with Pam Weiss with the Humane Society about getting pets licensed in the city of Omaha.
But after the break, Omaha News reporter Matt Everson shows us that the sex trafficking industry isn't just a problem taking place in countries around the world. It's happening right here in Omaha. Those stories and more when the Omaha News continues after this break.
PBS is the place you should go first.
There are no advertisers to be satisfied, only an audience to be satisfied.
We take our responsibility as journalists very seriously. We are constantly thinking about our viewers and what they care about.
We want to let you know what the information is, and then you decide what you want to think.
At the News Hour, we are after the facts and only the facts.
You've always known you were a leader, someone who works hard to achieve your goals. You can see it. You can see your success in front of you. You pursue a college education for the old-fashioned reasons, to learn, to make yourself more valuable, to succeed. You need a place that celebrates your ambition and positions you alongside visionary people just like you. You, my friend, belong here, the University of Nebraska at Omaha.
UNO TV invites you to take a journey around the world, to lush jungles with endangered species, to exotic lands and different cultures, to lost cities beneath the sands. Travel through time to see ancient secrets on the other side of the world, the growth of the American West, or the start of Nebraska's largest city. Or just explore our state. Find out about Nebraska in World War II. Learn how Omaha has grown since. Discover the effort to renovate its green spaces, the history of one of its most impressive buildings, or look at its internationally recognized university. For over 20 years, UNO TV has produced award-winning documentaries that explore, educate, and enlighten. To find out more, call 402-554-2516 or visit unotv.unomaha.edu.
You're watching the Omaha News.
Welcome back to the Omaha News. Interstate 80 supports a variety of transit. Unbeknownst to many drivers, some of these vehicles could contain victims of the sex trade. Omaha News reporter Matt Everson joins us live now in the newsroom. Matt?
Thanks, Nikita. People may be aware of the existence of sex trafficking on a national scale, but what you may not realize is that it actually hits very close to home. A local ladies' night sought to raise funds for Lincoln's I've Got a Name and provide a forum for political action.
Senator Amanda McGill introduced LB 933, and she's introduced several pieces of anti-trafficking legislation.
The call to action was part of the Market Church's fundraising efforts to spread greater awareness to such a serious issue.
At least 300 to 500 girls at any given time are being forced to prostitute themselves through sex trafficking here in Omaha and Lincoln and across our state. So there's a lot of interest in this to find ways where people can actually take a stand against injustice.
And we kind of had the same reaction everybody has. Oh, that happens here? You know, that happens in Omaha.
The evening also stood as a platform for the lobbying efforts of the Nebraska Family Alliance.
Because we've been involved in pushing back against trafficking from a legislative standpoint, is we have people come to us when they don't know where else to go. And we've come in contact with several different people, both victims and people who are just concerned citizens that seem to think, you know, I think there's something wrong here and I'm not really sure what to do.
The proposed bill will enact harsher penalties to forms of human labor and sex trafficking, including using someone's mental handicap or substance abuse problem as a means of control.
They choose their victims very carefully. They choose people who are vulnerable. The safety of their family has been threatened, or their own safety has been threatened, or it sounds like a weak way to pull someone into it, but their reputation has been threatened, which when you're a teenager or a young kid, you know, that means everything.
If you or someone you know needs help, the Polaris Project's National Human Trafficking Hotline can be reached at 888-373-7888. Back to you, Jasmine.
Thanks, Matt. 2 Nebraska prison inmates have filed a lawsuit against the state. They're claiming their constitutional rights are being violated because Nebraska prison rules do not allow inmates to transfer to another prison for a wedding. The 2 inmates involved with the lawsuit are both serving time for murder. Nebraska Governor Dave Heineman says the lawsuit was, quote, an outrage, and that the 2 could have married whenever prior to their committing their crimes. Nebraska prison rules do allow for inmates within the same prison to marry.
Over the past 10 years, social media has become a big part of most of our daily lives. While some people are discouraged from it, many others have embraced it. Omaha News reporter J.R. Cantor has more with one grandmother discovering Facebook to keep in touch.
Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit, these are just a few of many mediums of social media. Some people think that there is a barrier developing between the generations as the use of social media grows. Others think there is a barrier, but the gap between generations is shrinking. 83-year-old Jean Shields says that Facebook is a good way to keep up with her grandkids and even great-grandkids.
And I get a big kick out of seeing my great-grandchildren's pictures on there and all that.
Jean continued to say that her idea was quite different than that of what society was calling social media.
Let people see how your children are and how they're growing up, and where you go to watch basketball games or stuff like that.
Matt Drelishar said this is much different than how younger generations see social media.
I guess it's a different generation's way of looking at it then, because that's the way their communication took place. You know, they didn't have cell phones like we did, or social media in general, and the way they saw and communicated and interacted with people was going to places.
Drelishar continued to say he likes the idea of older people getting more involved with social media.
My grandparents on Snapchat would be awesome.
Whether or not you use it, social media has become a daily factor in our lives. For the Omaha News, I'm J.R. Cantor.
As new social media sites develop, it takes some time for users to get a grip on the learning curve involved with joining a new site. But as you saw in that story, anybody can learn.
Coming up next, Pam Weiss joins us live to discuss pet licensing in Omaha.
And later, hear from Omaha Mayor Jean Stothard about what it means to be the first female mayor in Omaha's history. The Omaha News returns right after this.
KVNO was in a really interesting place. This Victorian mansion near UNO.
3 floors. The studios were on the 3rd floor.
Bedrooms and bathrooms. So we had a challenge, but we ultimately ended up with an on-air studio.
We soundproofed it with carpet, and actually I think it sounded really warm, very radio friendly.
There were also rumors that the 3rd floor was haunted. Those were the maid's chambers, as we were told.
I had a sink in the office and leaded glass windows which looked out on the stable house in the back.
One colleague talking about having the window open one day, a warm spring or fall day, and a squirrel jumping through the window onto a turntable.
It was a great place, a great ambiance for a fine arts station.
It definitely had a charm to it.
About how you're feeling right now. One thing you would like our viewers to know about this state.
The importance of volunteerism.
What are you saying to folks?
I'm here to discuss these images.
When you can take that knowledge and that expertise and that passion in terms that they're all going to understand.
They need to know the real stories.
I'm Kathy Wyatt. Join us for Consider This.